Okay, so it's 12:05 and we're going to get rolling here. Welcome, everyone. This is a CNCF sponsored event. It's our first Tuesday of the month TAG Observability Meeting, which soon will be merged into a different tag as part of the whole tag reboot. But you know what, it's something of a slow moving process. So until we're there, we're still here technically. Please don't do or say anything in the chat or on video that would be in violation of the CNCF Code of Conduct. With that, top issue of our meeting today is Inspektor Gadget. A CNCF sandbox project has come to give us an overview and a presentation of the project, as well as to talk a little bit about what the project roadmap looks like and what its needs are. I don't want to steal any thunder, so without further ado, I'll pass it over to Maya. And that's really what we have on the agenda for today. Following her presentation, for anyone interested, we'll have a informal ad hoc Q&A, and we can also discuss what's happened at the TOC lately as well, following all of that as time allows. I've just come from the TOC meeting last hour. So with that, welcome. Thank you for reaching out and take it away. You should be able to present, and I'll make you a host.
Cool. Thank you for the kind introduction and warm welcome, Matt. My name is Maya Singh. I am a PM working on Inspektor Gadget, and we actually also have a couple of maintainers, technical folks on the call as well, Slava and Kasim. If either of you want to introduce yourselves, you're welcome to. I don't want to put you on the spot, though.
Sure. Let me start. I'm Slava Falko. I'm the engineering manager of the team behind Inspektor Gadget. So, Kasim?
Kasim, I'm one of the maintainers for the project as well. And yeah, that's it. Nice to see you all.
Awesome. Thanks, team. So I have some slides that we can walk through. Really, the goal of this meeting is to share the project with you all so that you're all familiar with the project. And we have a bunch of open questions for you all as well. I thought that this group would be such a great group to get some feedback around the positioning of the project and potential projects that we like, ideas for projects that we could partner with as well, because I feel like this group has such a broad understanding of the observability landscape inside the CNCF and outside of it. So yeah, there's a lot we can learn from you all. So we're really quite honored to be here today to share the project with you all. So like Matt mentioned, Inspektor Gadget is a CNCF sandbox project at the moment, and I will dive right in. So what is Inspektor Gadget? Inspektor Gadget is an open source tool and framework for data collection and systems inspection on Kubernetes and Linux hosts using eBPF. So Inspektor Gadget is essentially a tool for data collection, and I will focus the context around the Kubernetes applications of the project for this particular audience, but like with it being in the CNCF and everything, but the project does work on Linux hosts as well, but for the sake of this presentation, I'll be talking a little bit about the project in the context of Kubernetes. So Inspektor Gadget is, I'll get back to this slide in a second. We'll dive in a second, but just wanted to give you guys an overview of what it is, and this slide comes back so I can dive in a little deeper. But we wanted to start off from the problem level. So there are many system level challenges that one might face when operating their system. So when we think about the problems that folks might face, it might be in the debugging space, it might be in the monitoring space, it might be in the security space. So when we think about debugging, we think of problems that we often face on our clusters, whether that's figuring out the source of kill events, DNS queries not resolving, it's always DNS, deadlocks, which are when a process doesn't proceed due to another process using resources. And at the same time, we ideally would want to prevent these issues from happening. And for that reason, we build out ideally comprehensive monitoring suites that help us identify issues before they actually surface. So when it comes to monitoring, we ideally would have visibility into CPU usage. We'd want to be able to identify if stress on the system is coming from a specific container, or even if there's a process that is excessively reading or writing to our file system. And then finally, security is always been a challenge for many, many folks. And ideally, we want to be able to identify potential malicious activity, whether that's a shell being opened up on a Kubernetes cluster, validating binary changes in a container image, and monitoring processes that are accessing the file system. Those are avenues through which we can make sure we have visibility into so that we can identify potential malicious activity. And then also SIGCOMP profiles and secure computing mode profiles are also a mechanism through which we keep our systems more secure. Today, there are challenges that are associated with these system of trying to tackle this broad level of systems level challenges. There are multiple tools which really can be a challenge, I think, to a lot of folks. I think since this is the observability tag, it's probably like not a surprise that folks are struggling with the large variety of tools for sure. And with those multiple tools come potential performance implications. Additionally, on that slide that we saw previously with all of those challenges, kill events, CPU processing, identifying shells opening up on the cluster, looking deep into the process level, when it comes to understanding low-level data, there is a pretty steep learning curve that basically requires kernel-level knowledge and complicated technologies such as eBPF. And additionally, even if we're able to harness this low-level information, it lacks context in terms of the context that our system is running in. So Kubernetes is kind of unique in that it has concepts like pods and nodes, right? So we don't necessarily have those Kubernetes concepts when we're looking at that low-level data in isolation. So basically, that's where Inspektor Gadget comes into play. So we are a tool and framework for systems levels inspection, and we basically leverage eBPF for troubleshooting, monitoring, and security. And on the right-hand side, you'll see we are working in the context of Linux, and with that comes Kubernetes clusters that are running on Linux as well. So so I talked a little bit about troubleshooting, monitoring, and security. And on the left-hand side, one piece of the project that we really wanted to emphasize is that there are many modes in which you can export the data through that you collect, whether that's via the CLI, a JSON file, Prometheus. If you want to visualize your data in Grafana, you can do that as well. And we have logging and metric support for OpenTelemetry as well. So as it relates to sort of building out your observability framework and toolkit, we really wanted Inspektor Gadget to be something that can easily fit into someone's existing infrastructure, which is why those export options on the left-hand side are so important. Cool. So basically, I wanted to also share basically on the earlier slide, I shared all of these challenges, right? But now I wanted to also share in purple here, you'll see the different gadgets that we have that essentially solve the system level challenges. And I'll get into gadgets in a second, but wanted to not get too far away from the challenges and let you know that like, hey, off the shelf, we have tools, which you see in purple, that are able to sort of solve each of the challenges that I presented earlier. Cool. So with that, getting back to that original opening slide, now that you have a sense as to the type of problems that Inspector Gadget can solve and where the motivation is coming from in terms of elevating low-level data, making it super accessible, and elevating it to be understood in the context of Kubernetes, I wanted to give you all an overview of sort of like the key components of the project. The first one is gadgets. Like I showed on the previous slide here, each of these purple components here are actual gadgets. So what are gadgets? Gadgets are essentially OCI images that encapsulate eBPF programs that allow us to collect data, that low-level data from the kernel in a very secure and performant way. I'm not going to like get into the details of eBPF, but that is sort of the magic that allows us to collect data from the kernel in a very performant and safe way. Yes, Matt.
I did want to say for anyone watching now or anyone watching this video later, if you're not familiar with eBPF, there are a number of talks that we have as part of our expert speaker series and in prior meetings. So don't go away. Some more detailed technical content does already exist for anyone who might be thinking this is not for me. It probably is for you, and I'll go back on mute.
Yeah, absolutely. And while we're there, yeah, today's presentation isn't going to dive into eBPF very deeply, but the maintainers of the Inspector Gadget project are experts in eBPF, and we like to say that the project is a great way to get introduced to eBPF as well, because basically we have these gadgets that are off the shelf that have eBPF programs written in them, and if you have a specific use case that isn't necessarily covered by our existing suite of gadgets, you can take maybe one of the gadgets that's close to it and make some tweaks in the eBPF to serve your specific use cases and needs. So yeah, I think it's a pretty cool introduction to eBPF as well. So yeah, feel free to reach out to me or the other maintainers on the call if you're watching at home. And if you're interested in eBPF, I think this would be a good way to learn more about it. So thanks for that call out, Matt. It's a very cool technology. Yeah, so that is a little bit about the gadgets. That's sort of the core functionality of Inspector Gadget as it relates to eBPF. They're held in these, the programs are held in these gadgets. And then we get to the enrichment piece of the puzzle. That's where, when I was talking earlier about this low-level kernel data normally existing in isolation, we take care of the enrichment for the users of the project. What does this mean? This means that Inspector Gadget automatically maps the low-level systems data that I've been talking about to high-level Kubernetes resources like pods and nodes and container resources as well. And then finally, it's a framework. So in the beginning of the call, I kind of mentioned like we want this to be plug and play. We want this to work for a variety of use cases. And when we were looking at all of those different export options and the fact that you can use this on the Linux host directly or in the context of Kubernetes, all of these fit into this idea of a modular framework that we really want to be accessible to everyone who uses the project. Okay, cool. So this is basically saying that eBPF programs, this is about like as technical as we'll get into eBPF, but basically the programs attached to hook points in the kernels and run when these are event-driven hooks. So when an event occurs, the eBPF program will be triggered, and from there we will basically collect and observe the system in the way that the eBPF program is dictating, and that is happening within the Linux kernel. And then the information that the eBPF program is collecting and observing, it's stored in what is called an eBPF map, and that is what the user space reads in order to get the information that is from the kernel. So that'll be it on eBPF. But all that to say, we essentially, on the flip side of this, we are helping users by enriching the data, like I mentioned, filtering it, because there's a lot of data that happens and a lot of information that is collected from the kernel. So in order to be as efficient and performant as possible, we also do a lot of filtering in the kernel as well, which is like a very important detail, I think. And then ultimately, it is that framework which allows you to distribute and share the data in whatever way you see best fit. Here is a little bit about the gadgets. So we talked about gadgets. We talked that they're OCI images that store the eBPF programs. They also contain a YAML file with the metadata corresponding to the gadget. And there's a option to include a WASM file in the gadget as well for additional user space post-processing. So if there is, maybe you're actually like really excited about a particular gadget, for example, and the data that is collected from the kernel, but you want to do some additional manipulation of the data in the user space using WASM, you can do that using a WASM file and package it right in the gadget as well. So I wonder, I think, let's see, is the next one? Yes, Artifact Hub, perfect. So basically the OCI images, what we really like about having them, the gadgets and OCI images, is that they can live in a container registry and they are very easy to share amongst community members. So if Qasim, for example, created like an awesome gadget for trace DNS, for example, he could very easily share that with me. And I could pull it down from any container registry that the image is being held in and use it as well. So it acts as a like mechanism through which gadget developers and gadget users can share gadgets and create an ecosystem of gadgets, which is kind of leads me into the next slide, which is Artifact Hub. Artifact Hub, I believe, is also a CNCF project, but it's a really cool, essentially marketplace almost for all sorts of different artifacts, for lack of a better term. And one of the artifacts you'll find on Artifact Hub are gadgets. So within Artifact Hub, we have our own kind, which are called Inspektor Gadgets, and you'll be able to see the library essentially of all the different types of gadgets that exist, which I think is such a cool way to make the gadgets accessible and findable as well. So that's another aspect of the project I wanted to make sure people were aware of. Okay, I just wanted to share a short demo. I have a feeling I'm gonna share my screen, but I don't think the audio will share, but I think that this video, but I think that's fine because I'll speak over it.
My application on it.
Could you guys hear that second of audio?
Yep.
Oh, you could. Oh, wow. Okay, this is advanced. Okay. Alrighty, so then I won't need to say anything.
You can see the data that is coming through using the trace DNS gadget. Essentially,
So we have, sorry, this is like me speaking over myself. We have yes.
Also,
Please,
you might want to
please.
maximize your screen.
Oh, yes, yes,
Direct
thank
the
you.
people to read.
Good. Yes, thank you. That's a good call. Let me back up just a little bit, see if I can get it. I had it pinned to a particular point. I think this is where it'll start off, but basically to set the stage, I have a Kubernetes cluster with an application running on it already, and there are going to be DNS queries that are attempting to be resolved. And I'll talk through this in the video as well if you guys are able to hear the audio. And we're specifically using the gadget trace DNS in this particular demo. And you'll be able to see the output of the gadget and how it can be useful, because like I guess a very common use case is it's always DNS. So that is the sort of use case that is being showed here, and you'll see there are some queries that are unable to be resolved. So I'll be quiet and let myself talk, I guess.
my application on it, and you can see the data that is coming through using the trace DNS gadget. Essentially, on the right-hand side is sort of the data that you'll be interested in, but you can see that there's a wrong URL that is basically unable to be resolved, and then there's example.com that is showing no errors. So basically, if we have these URLs that are trying to be resolved, we can see that, oh, actually wrong URL.test is the one that's giving me a problem here, and the example.com is good to go. So this is a pretty common error people face. Like, we have this joke, it's like, it's always DNS, it's like a typo in the in the URL, it's an outdated URL, but sort of it's always DNS. So trace DNS, I mean, you guys also said trace was one of the more popular ones, right? So I should have paused here. Let me pause really quickly. Anyway.
Okay, so that was the demo. I don't know, either Slava or Kasim, I want to give you guys the chance to call out anything regarding the gadget as well, if there's anything you'd like to add. Okay, cool. No, good, okay. Yeah, I wanted to keep it short, but I wanted to give you all a feel of how the gadget works. And in that context, of course, we're just exporting to the CLI. So it's sort of a, you could think of it like a real-time debugging troubleshooting case. Okay, let's continue. We're still rolling. Alrighty. So I wanted to talk a little bit about our partnerships. I think, Matt, you mentioned that would be helpful as well. Like, where does Inspektor Gadget live in the ecosystem outside of the project in isolation? We do have a plugin for Headlamp. So Headlamp is a Kubernetes UI that recently joined the SIG UI for Kubernetes. So if you check it out, it's a pretty cool project. You can also, they operate using a plugin model. And if you have observability needs, you can check out the Inspektor Gadget plugin for that. Some folks like to use the UI and on the desktop to manage their Kubernetes resources. And I think it's really cool because Headlamp makes it super easy. Kasim also wrote some K9s plugins. One of them is definitely for DNS, and K9s is a terminal UI. So I think a lot of folks use K9s as well. So we have some integration with there. You can also use Inspektor Gadget just through kubectl debug. And all of these things are linked here. So the slides are in the agenda and you can click on these and learn more about it. And we also have an add-on for Minikube. And I also listed our adopters as well. So people are using it in all sorts of different ways for observability, for security. You'll see Microsoft Defender for Containers is there. There's also Kubescape, which is using it in very much a security context. So it's interesting because basically, this is one of the questions I have for you all. With the framework being quite modular and basically these gadgets acting as like a plug and play type of framework system, it makes for a very wide variety of applications of the project, which is probably a good thing, but it makes for a challenge in positioning the value prop for the project because it's not just one thing necessarily. It's not like I can say like, if you need like troubleshooting, that's the only thing Inspektor Gadget is good for, and then like focus in on that. But it's more like it can be used for security, monitoring, troubleshooting, and people are indeed using it for all of these things. So yeah, Matt, do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, I don't. I've got a background thread spinning right now.
Okay.
But I did want to just ask a brief question on the
Mhm.
partnerships aspect. Are these various integrations and plugins things that are part of the scope of the Inspektor Gadget project that are maintained by the project, or are they various plugins that live in other either open source projects or otherwise that sort of are relationship based versus something that are maintained within the scope? So again, our purpose at the TAG is to provide a space where vendors, end users, and project maintainers, right, can come together to talk about stuff. So oftentimes the most common questions that I'll get after a presentation or a talk that someone gives or people have generally is around scope initially. So if you could comment there, Alalita and others, feel free to jump in if you have more substantive feedback on that last question, I'm still thinking. I'm usually on a 2-minute delay.
Now I'm curious here, Maya, because as Matt said, what is your integration, strategy on the project? Because typically, when again, it's totally good to integrate as much as, as many places as possible for any project. OpenTelemetry is a very good example where you actually have a contrib, repo for every component that has integrations. The collector contrib especially is a good place to look, where you have integrations across the board for different, security or observability or monitoring or any other areas, alerting, different components that talk to it. So, and typically, in large projects like hotel, there are, again, owners for each of those integrations that keep them up to date, right? So from an project point of view, again, Inspektor Gadget, has the potential of really being a great add-on for a lot of different use cases. So how do you envision that ecosystem to grow within the project itself?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think the reality is like for Headlamp, for example, those are very close partners of ours. So it was driven in very close partnership with the Headlamp team. But Kasim, I don't know if you wanted to comment on K9s. That was more driven from our end. Like we saw it was a really cool project. We saw there was opportunity for us to add functionality to the project. So we took the initiative and contributed the plugin for Inspektor Gadget from that side. So it is a little bit of both, but I hear you when you say like it would be worth taking a step back and think about from like 1,000-foot view, what is our strategy here in terms of this ecosystem of collaboration and partnerships. One thing that is very clear to me is that this is like a two-sided market, for lack of a better term, in terms of gadget developers and gadget consumers. So for those folks who are excited about eBPF and want to build gadgets, many of them are on our team, we need a thriving ecosystem of folks who are developing gadgets for observability, security, and troubleshooting. And then on the opposite side, we of course need people to use the gadgets as well, which we have a lot of users. In my mind, it's not a 50-50 split. Probably 80% of the community members will be users and consumers of these gadgets, but only 20% are going to perhaps be interested in the low-level technology and want to build gadgets. Despite how easy we make it for them, I still think it's going to be a smaller population.
I think again,
yeah.
it's a question of, different user communities actually, or vendor, integrations coming in terms of extending the usability of the, project technology. So it's probably different from what you have in mind right now. Matt.
Yeah, totally fair. Matt?
Yeah, thank you for elaborating on some that duality that multiple personas are involved in the community. I think that the OpenTelemetry -contrib model has a lot of advantages were you to adopt it. Namely, you're kind of putting you're being the change that we want to see, right? You're saying, hey, here's a community where you can come get credit, you can join our community, you can still have agency over whatever plugin that might be developed by, say, a Causley or something else. I'm familiar with the Causley folks. In there you have like a small startup that's using the project and could want to contribute some of what they've done back, or just regular plugins and other community members from other projects that say, hey, I want to do this. It gives them a place to go and congregate while giving the project, all kinds of telemetry around, as well as control around governance and standards for the build process to both lower the barriers to adoption, but also to, as the sandbox project gains maturity, give it some stability and ownership over how are they built, how are they distributed, along with all of the metrics around how many downloads are happening and who's actually using it in the real world, where you would otherwise have an integration by integration walk to go collect that data in a clipboard kind of manual way. So I would encourage you to have a look at it, and I'm sure Alalita or myself or others could connect you with OpenTelemetry, because there's a whole SIG that I believe it's a SIG now, Alalita, right, or a committee. There's a formalized way to manage this in the open, that gives people confidence that they can come contribute under the Apache license and under the as part of the project itself. And so
Yeah.
I think it makes the project much more sustainable, particularly
Yeah.
as you look to exiting the sandbox to higher levels. Some of those things will be asked, and so
Yeah.
you can kind of get ready now and just not have to build technical debt around how some of those things are done today. But it's amazing
Awesome.
to see some of these this list of plugins by itself.
Yeah, it's a great start actually, because I think that
Yeah,
gives you the ability to really, also provide a picture to the TOC on, how the community will grow and with the different use cases, intersecting in the growth of the technology as well as its innovation, right? Because again, that is a category of evaluation by the TOC as the project moves across levels.
yeah.
Definitely.
Also be prepared potentially for quite an influx, right? I mean, I'm looking at the OpenTelemetry collector contrib repo. It isn't even all that old as open source projects go, and we're 17,500 commits.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
So you have like an OpenTelemetry it's sort of I don't want to say hyperbolic, but an extreme case, of industry collaboration with more than 1,000 companies contributing. But when you provide a well-formed process that provides agency and safety,
Yeah.
right, you both grow a community, but also it can accelerate adoption, because people see that this isn't just a long play on a commercial kind of hook, but you're actually incubating technology and new capabilities, Lego building blocks, right, for practitioners. So
Awesome. Thank you for the suggestion. We'll definitely check it out.
I had a
Ani, did
quick
you
question.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So trying to understand, and then I think I can add a few more comments. But overall, like, thanks for the presentation. Never knew about this before. This is awesome. Questions. How does it compare with like the other eBPF projects? I believe you might have looked at, I think there was the old eBPF networking SIG that is almost defunct right now. And there's a new eBPF thing coming again, restarted, I think 2 weeks ago, not too long ago. And the new eBPF SIG is effectively Grafana Bela coming into OpenTelemetry. And I think they're trying to do something similar. I do feel these projects are at like similar things, different or so different purposes or audiences. How do you like, how does a user like think about both of them?
Yeah, definitely. A member of our team was in talks with the Grafana Bela folks a while ago, but to your point, I think they too are trying to harness eBPF-based observability, is kind of what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll definitely do some more research into it and get back to you, but I did see that they recently, were they donated to the
Yes.
OTel
I
group?
think
Yeah.
we started working with them and figuring out like how we can get the eBPF work more closely into the receiver or make it more
Okay.
standard as part of the OpenTelemetry demo. I think the thing about the demo is it's a nice use case to showcase the power of everything running together. But today it only supports like metrics, logs, traces without too much metadata or telemetry, which you can't really use for more analytics. But having that together, you can run a good analytics suite, and eBPF does help stitch things together. I would definitely, I think you do have an exporter getting into OTel. So I think your
Yeah, we
exporter is
do.
basically to the receiver in the collector, right? If I'm understanding the architecture correct.
I don't know if either of the more technical people can answer that question. I will get you an answer though. If not.
Okay, I was
I
a bit
think
confused how
it's
you're.
more like a plugin architecture, but again, more on the receiver side. And
If I read the documentation for Inspector
Yeah.
Gadget, it does have an OTLP gRPC out. I
Yeah,
assume
yeah.
that out is in for the receiver, and then you go from there again.
yeah,
That sounds right.
And then this perfect. That makes sense. Like, I think in that regard, this could be part of the hotel demo, like today.
yeah,
Let's see how you could use these signals and stitch these things together to make a use case flowing.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, we could explore it. And Nicola we have been in talk, we've like chatted with the Bela folks here and there at KubeCon and stuff, but I think what I'm hearing is like, let's double down on that
Like
partnership.
they just started 2 weeks ago. I think the thing
Yeah,
just
I
started
know.
2 weeks ago. It's like,
Yeah.
and I think it's about like eBPF was really hot. Nobody talked about it for a while, and now everybody's talking about it.
Yeah, it comes in waves, all of these things, right? Like it's interesting.
Cool. I think that's about it for me.
Okay.
I'm trying to see like how to get
Thanks
this more
for that.
into the hotel demo or like more mainstream where people can just try it as a use case.
Yeah, that's what we're working on too, is like how close to like a one-click solution can we make this to just make it as like it's a little bit of a double-edged sword because we want it to be a framework that is modular that people can use for specific use cases, but at the same time,
I think you get like
one-click
a good
solution.
plugin system. So to check the most important checkboxes that you can get started, then at least you get the taste to everybody. Like I can do this default without doing anything.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah. Matt, sorry, I realized you have your hand up.
Nope, it's fine. This is great conversation. I wanted to just raise two pieces of feedback. One, as a timekeeper, we've got about 20 minutes left, and I think you've got about third of your slides left. So I want to make sure we have time for all of your content. And secondly, sort of to re-echo governance and -contrib GitHub model or project management model. What we've been talking about right here is a perfect example of a question that a new potential contributor might have, like, hey, I have an idea. We should combine this with the hotel demo, right? And there's different ways to compose that and put that together. But how would, I always have the general question in every project in 5 years of the tag. It's usually the last question I ask, so I'll jump the gun because it's germane. But how does one engage with the project? Is it open for new contribution, directly, or do you have regular open meetings, things like that? So I think what we're talking about in terms of how you structure things can have a huge impact on the community development and awareness. And secondly, I wanted to say, second of two things, is that the CNCF sandbox exists specifically for exactly these kinds of discussions and talks. So as a CNCF sandbox project, it's hoped, and I don't want to say expected, but certainly we again in the tag space, exist to facilitate either brokering these communications or just cheerleading, at times, and raising awareness. But sometimes CNCF sandbox projects might merge before becoming a larger conglomerate incubation project. Sometimes a CNCF sandbox project might be duplicitous, or cover overlapping scenarios, but that's a good thing, right? So that there's not a should, there's, hey, let's go build stuff, and the sandbox is literally a sandbox where things can become more well-formed and more full-featured to move forward, and that can take a lot of different shapes and methods. So
Definitely. Yeah. Thanks, Matt. We actually are pretty good. I had oh, I'm going backwards and forwards when I meant to go backwards. We are almost done.
Question.
Yes, please go ahead.
Like Inspector Gadget, is it like a standalone independent project or an open source part of some other company? I didn't realize how it was structured.
It's an independent project on the CNCF.
Okay.
Yeah, it's completely open source, standalone. Yep. Okay, let's go really quickly because I want to leave time at the end for other topics as well. But looking forward, what's on the roadmap? We're looking at if we can, we're looking at creating profile CPU and off CPU with flame graphs, which I think is a really cool way for folks to get process level insights around their CPU usage. A lot of cloud vendors will show CPU saturation at the maybe node level, possibly pod level, but getting really down into the process level to pinpoint the exact process that is the source of intense CPU saturation can be difficult, but we're hoping to bridge that gap for folks with profiling CPU and off CPU and using it possibly in like a flame graph type of visualization. Other things that we're working on are gadget instance manifest files. You likely saw the output of the CLI during my demo. Like there was a lot of information there. The gadget instance manifest files are a way for us to easily configure the output of the gadgets and share the manifest files, these configurations with folks to make it super easy for specific use cases. Yes, Ani.
Can I ask questions in between or?
Please, yeah, please,
Okay.
please. No, yeah, let's hear it. Yeah, it's
Most of the
casual.
configurations over here, can they be turned on and off at runtime?
At runtime, I am not sure. Kasim, do you?
Yeah, what sort of configuration you had
Like I would
in mind?
like to turn play profiling on and off unless I need to. Like there used to be an old profiling tool I used to use and love. I forget the name for now, but I think I always loved the idea that a low-level profiling tool could on and off the levels and the features. So that way, when I need to profile, I have it, and if I don't need to, I don't get that extra information.
Yeah, I think that's something with the Inspektor Gadget, like this flexibility, because the gadgets are like the OSI images, and you run them, and then it'll only profile. And if you don't run a gadget, then it's not doing anything. So it's like really ad hoc, and so you're
I
flexible
don't
to
get a
choose
rest
what.
endpoint. Like I can't click a button and turn on and off. Like some way to turn on and off on live.
Yeah, it's like you run a gadget, like you run a container. So it's you run a gadget, starts to profile, and then you can also run that in the background. So you have all the options to like turn on and off and do all sort of stuff. Does that make sense?
That's at the install time. Right?
I think, Ani, it's probably not the same as you're thinking. We'd have to run it and see, but I think what Kasim is saying that, hey, you can run multiple configurations at the same time, but not necessarily turn them on and off dynamically at runtime. Yeah.
But you can, I guess you can turn on and off the profiling, if that makes sense. So it's
but dynamically while you're in, debugging through prod,
specifically without a process restart or something.
Right. Because typically, you'll turn on the
Yeah.
debug level, you'll set it to a particular level, and then you'll run it, right? And then you will exit out and then run it again. So at a different level. So
okay.
Dynamic configuration in runtime can be done, but it has to be implemented, right?
Okay, makes sense.
Michael,
cool.
are you saying
Michael.
it can be?
Mike is also a maintainer of the project.
Yes, it can be. Like if IG is running as daemon or inside of Kubernetes,
yeah,
you have a client application which with which you can start new gadgets and also uninstall them. So you don't need to restart anything.
I see. So you're just saying just run another gadget which will run a different level. I think that's what Kasim was also explaining.
Yeah.
So it's kind of doable, but it's not in the same way, Ani, that you're envisioning where you're running.
It would be via the proto API that you guys have.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll also say not as an expert with Inspektor Gadget specifically, but just in general, don't do this on your production workloads, I would imagine. Right. I mean,
of course you could, but
of course, well, we can,
like that's the goal. Like have this like always on in production, but paused, and then whenever I have an issue, I can like run the thing again, like a playback, like play it on, get loads of data.
But I think, Ani, that has a performance implication, right? So I'd really like to understand, like, from an Inspektor Gadget perspective, what's the performance difference you see in general on different types of workload environments?
Yeah.
I need to find some tool. I'll make an issue, but I need to find some tool. Let's use a tool that had no performance implication when it's off, but when on, yes. And then that's why you turn it on for a short period of debugging time.
Yep.
I think that this would solve that, like that particular need in terms of like low performance overhead when it's not running. And then when it's running, of course, when it's running.
Yeah.
No, but define low, right? Because
Yeah,
it's
Sure.
that's
To tag on
subjective.
to Alolita's question, I guess,
Yes.
for gadgets, does the project presently today have a general performance measurement framework, or some way to quantify the overhead of some of these gadgets, that some of which again might be coming from project maintainers and contributors themselves, or some might be from other communities where you have people contributing who might be new to eBPF, and
Yeah,
a very big sword, eBPF.
definitely.
Right. So,
Yeah. So the
what's next?
performance, we definitely have some homework to do in terms of like performance benchmarking, but we do have a BPF stats gadget. So it's kind of like a little bit of gadget inception, but you use this gadget to understand the performance implications of the gadget that you're running in the context of your workload. Because a big thing we've learned in the project so far is that it's very context dependent. As we work through our partnerships with all of the different folks you saw on the previous slide, every different workload and scenario that we encountered had different needs from a performance perspective and implications as well. So, but all that to say, one epic that the team is working on literally in this next release cycle is laying out the roadmap and the framework, to your point, Matt, hey, how do we help users of the project understand the performance implications of Inspektor Gadget in the context in which they're running, because we know it's context specific.
So,
Yes, Matt, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So then I'll say I can follow up with you and others later, but as part of the TAG reboot that's been happening and was announced at KubeCon, there's a new noun in town called initiatives, and these are we probably don't have time to get into the whole TAG reboot today. We've been punting it for more focused conversations like this one, but one of the initiatives that came out of KubeCon that I believe will be moving forward is aimed at doing this specifically for CNCF projects, to give them both the ability to have for projects that have plugins or things like that, some way to do project conformance, but also to provide it to make it such that as a potential adopter of the project, looking at it for the first time, you can both see what the expectation should be around cost, right, which can be prohibitive for some folks in small or large companies, as well as what does it and a way to reproduce that to kind of tire kick and try things out for the first time. So this would be an area where, as a sandbox project, you can fold into that effort. You're both a case study for that initiative at the TOC level, but you're also kind of not having to boil the ocean yourself, so to speak.
Yeah.
Just that one task that can be a whole, and it's quite complicated, right, to do
Yeah.
on a project by project basis, right? So you might be able to get some free stuff for the project, but I think there's a bi-directional collaboration and a win-win if you were to fold into that initiative. And I can follow up. These are just
Yeah.
the whole initiative process is just starting now.
Okay.
So this TOC in the coming weeks and months is going to be rolling out the management of those, but now we have like a template for an initiative that'll be tracked by the TOC and such. So we can follow up, but this could be a great preparation point.
Yeah, that would be awesome. And like, if there are other projects using eBPF, then like we could say, hey, use the BPF stats gadget to get the performance implications of eBPF in your particular context. So that's awesome. Thanks for sharing, Matt. Okay, I will run through this really quickly. I mentioned we have support for OpenTelemetry, Prometheus, etc. One of our goals is to make sure our gadgets are able to emit the metrics where applicable. Of course, documentation is on our list. We've also, coming out of KubeCon, some folks were mentioning GPU profiling and understanding GPU usage as a potential or as a need for them. So that's also like very much like in the exploratory phase and something we're just, kicking around a bit if that's possible. And then we do have the trace loop gadget, which is kind of a flight recorder for like a crashing app, like Anya, you're kind of like hinted at this a little bit, but if you have a crashing app, can trace loop run in the background and basically help you look back in time a little bit so you can see why your app is crashing. So that exists today, but basically we're going to partner with the CNCF mentorship program to hopefully like create that story to make the use cases really clear and bring it to market, because it is a very special, unique gadget. These are questions. I think we've been having really good discussion. So what else did I want to show? How you can help. Partner with us, contribute. We do have a pretty robust contribution guide, and we have good first issues on the GitHub. Folks, for those of you listening at home, would love to have you join us. And we're on Slack. We're in the Kubernetes workspace, which is just something to keep in mind. I think this group is in the CNCF workspace. So we are Inspektor Gadget on Slack. We're in BlueSky, LinkedIn, and I kind of alluded to this earlier, but if you're interested in working with a mentee, we're probably going to have a mentee through the CNCF mentorship program, and I want them to like talk to community members, understand where trace loop in particular could be useful to folks. So yeah, would love to, partner with folks in that very low commitment type of way as well, if they can interview you. So
one more question.
Yes.
Have you guys thought about eBPF based tracing or supporting the hotel tracing protocols with eBPF data?
So we do have tracing gadgets. Trace DNS was one that we showed. Trace TCP is another one that we have, but I don't think we have the exact same support for OTel that we have. We have metrics and logging, but
Yes.
I'm not sure we have the tracing yet.
Yes, you don't. I was just thinking if you
Yes.
have a plan for it or thought about it.
I think we were looking for use cases that would demand that, for lack of a better term, but if I hear you, maybe we have one. But
Okay.
yeah. Yeah,
We
Slava.
some time ago we considered to research a bit the R9 SDK with spans for tracing, for including like into the OpenTelemetry. However, it went nowhere because of lack of users. Let's put like that, lack of
Got it.
people.
I think here again, Maya and Slava, the area that I'd really like you to consider, as Ani had also suggested, is that integrate into some of the larger projects like OTel, because OTel demo is a really heavily used piece of integration that many users and vendors use, and it really will also vet out some of the use cases where you could, actually provide experimental, implementations. And you could say they're experimental, which you turn on and off with with a build or a flag. And it's really that you make those available just to see, it's like, okay, do you get use cases, and put an active call for, use cases out. Because I do think that tracing and profiling is very integrally tied to each other, and is used a lot in the by users, right? So in that space, again, there are several use cases that you could actually totally build out for. And again, having this gadget with the trace loop implementation is a good idea. But it's also, as you said, just one of the scenarios.
Yeah.
Like one thing I'll just recommend from my side now is I think I will work with you offline this week to at least pilot this and see how this goes into hotel demo. I think we have some folks actively working on hotel demo right now.
Yeah, that would be actually pretty
we should
cool.
know like where the edge cases are, and I think work with you guys. Ideally, I think it'll be okay to like help you get this into hotel demo and try to get the end-to-end like from data collection to the analytics stage chain, because without this metadata, I think there's not much fancy we can really do to debug. I can see logs, metrics, and traces, but that's about it.
Yeah, I think this has been great. Thank you for structuring what you presented at this sort of altitude and scope. I personally have all kinds of ideas and questions that I kind of want to hold off on, because at I'd love to see like an architecture diagram kind of as a more technical,
Yeah.
in technical assessment, because I imagine even a picture or something like that would answer a lot of my questions. But I have a lot of questions around OTLP and how the project foresees integration with OpenTelemetry moving forward, right? So that you can both integrate with the community and to your stated goal at the very top of the hour, you want to make it easy. You had said you want to make it easy for people with existing investments or configurations to use the project to augment what they already have versus sort of replace. And so all of this kind of, I would imagine, you've got a great fit here, I would think. But perhaps we can schedule at a future date, either within this meeting, or we could do it as a one-off and just put it out there, a more technical deep dive into how this all works today.
Yeah, I think,
Yeah.
Matt, also to reiterate, Maya, I would recommend that you guys also have a channel on CNCF Slack, because
Okay.
again, obviously some of us are on both namespaces, but not necessarily everyone is.
Okay. That sounds good. I know we're at time, but yeah, just a huge thank you to the group for all of your feedback and everything. It's much appreciated. And we have some action items coming out of this, which is awesome. And Matt, yeah, I would love to take you up on the offer to do a more technical deep dive now that you guys have a feel of how the project works and that sort of thing. We have
Awesome.
many experts who can take you all through the architecture.
Very cool. Thank you, Maya.
Thank you for having
doing this.
us.
Yeah, super. So to everyone else, thank you for joining. We are at time. We could probably go a minute or two over, but I have to jump to a meeting, so I'll be leaving. But when I do post the video in the description, we'll have all these links that I've been kind of putting in the chat. So don't worry about that going away. We'll get all those details as part of the description.
I just
So-
had a last question. Who's best person to work with on the hotel stuff in your team? I want to see how it can work with the sort of hotel demo.
Okay, bye, Matt. Yeah.
Yeah,
Flava,
no,
is there someone?
I was gonna say this is the perfect thing to do in an open, right? So it's so I wouldn't make it person-based as feedback. I think that I just
Like we will have some questions initially, so I just want to see best person to reach out.
Yeah.
And we can start posting it because we will start piloting it and it'll be new to us.
I think, Ani, just open up an issue first and then, kind of collaborate.
Yeah,
from there.
keep in mind the community is global. They're not
Yeah.
all English as a first language. So really opening a GitHub issue, many people will watch it and it's findable later, and all of that. So I'm
Cool.
excited to hear you're thinking about piloting it. Look for any sandbox project, right? So
Good
thank
stuff.
you again. I need to drop. You feel free to use the
Yeah.
channel for. I think it'll kick you off in another 10 minutes. But
Yeah.
thanks so much.
I need to drop too. Thank you.
Sounds good. I have to drop as well, but Ani, we'll see you in the GitHub issue then. We can collaborate on there. Does that sound good?
We'll open an issue on the OpenTelemetry demo GitHub.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That
Sounds
sounds good, Maya. I can connect you guys.
Okay,
so
perfect.
No worries. Thanks.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take
Bye-bye.
care. Bye.
Bye.